What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. Not a traditional yellow hoodie today because the topic is absurd, so I guess I thought maybe it will be just symbolic to wear something Russian. I don't know, you will see. So yeah, imagine. So you stroll into your go-to cafe on a drizzly Moscow afternoon dreaming about a steamy margarita pizza slice or maybe the dragon roll sushi special you've been eyeing on Instagram of your local sushi bar. You take a seat, remove your jacket, hat, sunglasses, and boom, the waiter hands you a brand new patriotic surcharge menu with a straight face. 12% slapped onto anything remotely Italian, Japanese, French, German, or Spanish. Apparently, as of recently, basil, mozzarella, and soy sauce have all been indicted as ideological saboteurs in Russia. The food from unwelcomed countries whose main goal is to destroy traditional Russian family values through imperialistic food. I'm not even kidding. How did we even get there? When did pizza morph into the enemy combatant? When did the humble California roll turn into a geopolitical landmine? Enter Sergei Malinkovich, chairman of the Communists of Russia.
What in Hindi was...
And yes, that proudly internationalist party from the good old Soviet lore, now presenting themselves as the culinary inquisition. He bangs on the table on TV show talking about gastronomic security, insists that Chinese dumplings and Uzbek plov are closer to the Russian body, and conjures visions of special inspectors sniffing out rogue Parmesan wheels in back alley kitchens. You thought Orwell was fiction, well, because strap in. Because Moscow is busy whisking 1984 into reality stew so thick you couldn't stand a spoon in it. But let's not just stare at this circus, let's actually slice it open. Pun intended. Track the steps of paranoia snaking from the Kremlin kitchen to your dinner plate and see why Russians have swapped resistance for resignation. By the time dessert hits the table, assuming tiramisu has not been outlawed yet, we'll have toured Soviet ghosts, pseudo-silence debacles, Orwellian doublespeak, and the nightmarish aftertaste of a nation too numb to protest. Buckle up, comrades, it is time to indulge ourselves on the total absurdity. The good old 1990s. When Moscow street food meant shawarma stands and the Pizza Hut opening on Tverskaya triggered hours-long queues of hopeful Russians to taste capitalism one greasy slice at a time.
Бардак.
Да благодаря ему у нас новые возможности.
Это из-за него у нас политическая нестабильность.
Да благодаря ему у нас свобода.
Полный хаос.
Перспективы.
Политическая нестабильность.
Да благодаря ему у нас есть Pizza Hut.
За Горбачева!
За Горбачева!
За Горбачева! За Горбачева!
Sometimes nothing brings people together like a nice hot pizza from Pizza Hut.
That era feels positively impossible now. Fast forward 3 decades and we are ankle deep in sanctioned cheese knockoffs. Mozzarella type dairy product, which is rubbery enough to bounce off concrete. Blue and white packages sporting Cyrillic labels that screams we tried. The collapse from mozzarella dreams to curdled reality has been slow and sticky, like spoiled fondue clinging to a pot no one bothered to wash. That's why today's Parmesan Panic. Malinkovich hops on morning television, the set is decorated in crimson banners and hammer and sickle nostalgia, and so he swears on his grandfather's medals collection that Italy culinary empire possesses a stealth threat to Russia. Why should we subsidize enemy economies, he cries. Order pizza means pay NATO. Talk show hosts nod their heads while slurping their government-approved buckwheat and kvass. The conversation migrates from studio to social media, where bots amplify the message. Mozzarella equals moral rot. Sushi equals surrender. Meanwhile, real people stand in checkout lines counting rubles, wondering why imported olives now cost more than a train ticket to Voronezh. Inflation is munching through salaries faster than a teenage gamer wipes out Doritos. But state media shows cameras in your face and asks how do you like the new patriotically seasoned Nasha pizza, made with all Russian sulguni that tastes like salted eraser. You shake your head, but you keep chewing because complaining brands you as a potential foreign agent, and no one wants a midnight knock on your door from guys in unmarked vans. This is very basic distraction calculus 101. When battlefield casualty numbers leak despite censorship and social programs created under budget cuts, the regime needs a new scapegoat, something harmless enough to demonize without unintended blowback. Foreign food is perfect. Nobody will march over sushi. Yet media coverage will gobble airtime night after night. You watch, you smirk, you scroll, and you forget about the draft notices stuffed in mailboxes or the funeral vans seen on roads as frequently as delivery trucks. The pizza tax is basically a smoke grenade tossed across the dinner table while the state picks your pocket. And the absurdity? Well, it's contagious. One regional deputy suggests mandatory vodka pairings as a countermeasure to foreign beverages. You ordered Jack Daniels? Well, okay, no problem. Well, now it just comes with a shot of Stolichne, so it's not only America that gets your rubles. Another insane politician proposes loyalty programs, loyalty points in the Gososlugi app for ordering pelmeni over pasta. You can imagine memes explode. Borscht, now 100% more patriotic. But beneath the laughs lurks resignation, because everyone knows the punchline. Tomorrow the additional tax could leap to 20%, then 50%, then a full-blown ban. So for now you laugh, while you still can. But why would Sergei Malinkovich even propose this absurd tax on foreign food? Let's try to answer this question in our next chapter. Let's talk about Malinkovich's flagship claim. Chinese and Uzbek cuisine are closer, quote-unquote, to the Russian body, while French custard supposedly rearranges your chromosomes into traitorous spirals. On what empirical grounds? The answer is none. It is a dead ringer for the mid-century madness of Trofim Lysenko, Stalin's star agronomist, who swore that wheat could be trained like a circus dog to sprout in Siberian winters. As a result, millions starved, but hey, ideology trumped ecology and no one dared to speak against science sanctioned by the state. So reboot now this scam in 2025 and you get gastronomic lysenkoism, if there is a word even for this. Picture a dusty lab funded by the Ministry of Culinary Safety, staffed by underpaid grad students in ill-fitting lab coats. They test foods in murky petri dishes, measuring patriotism levels with fluorescent sticks like cheap pregnancy tests. The press releases practically write themselves. Kimchi from Pyongyang, North Korea, compatible. Romano lettuce from Spain, potentially toxic to spiritual bonds. By the time this nonsense trickles down to local health inspectors, you've got clipboard-wielding zealots barging into kitchens to confiscate Italian-made balsamic vinegar. Here's the Kafka twist. And here's the Kafka twist. These inspectors who cannot even distinguish between Parmesan Reggiano and Russian Rossiyski cheese, well then yet they stand poised to fine restaurants for accidentally sprinkling real Parmesan shavings smuggled through Belarus. Border towns sprout a black market network, truckers moving contrabanda burrata under tarps, bribing guards on the way drug mules grease border patrols and narcos. Except instead of actual illegal substances, it's good vacuum packed in innocent-looking diapers. Now factor in supply chain chaos. Sanction after sanction has hollowed out import channels, forcing domestic producers to come up with bizarre substitutes, such as soy salmon, beet-based tuna, dairy-free cheese. The state trumpets each Frankenstein product as proof of Russian resilience, but consumers end up with sushi rolls stuffed with mayo-covered crab sticks that were never even within shouting distance of an actual crab. Meanwhile, it's the oligarchs who fly to Dubai and binge on authentic Wagyu steak because, surprise, dietary patriotism is strictly for only middle-class people and obviously lower-income people. Okay, still, The propaganda goes down smooth because it's coated in fake medical jargon. State-approved nutritionists appear on talk shows claiming that Mediterranean diets are incompatible with Slavic gut flora, citing non-existent studies. A soft-spoken PhD in biochemical patriotism warns that capers overstimulate Western individualism receptors. I don't know how I was coming up with these things, but well, here we go, guys. Viewers nod, taking notes on their state-subsidized notepads, while quietly googling how to make pizza dough out of buckwheat flour. When knowledge becomes a servant to ideology, reason starves, and a starved mind cannot rebel. It barely manages to digest the daily mix of contradictions. 1 minute you are told internationalism is socialist virtue, the next minute you are instructed to shun tiramisu as a tool of decadent imperialists. And if this is not enough, don't forget about words like espresso or latte. Cannot have foreign caffeine colonizing your bloodstream, right? Sounds like a food-styled remake of George Orwell's 1984, guys, right? Except it is happening in real life in a very real country. Let's see the disturbing parallels in our next chapter. George Orwell's 1984 is not just required reading in high school literature classes. Not in Russia, obviously. It's a how-to manual autocrats keep on the nightstand. In Russia's 2025 culinary crackdown, we glimpse the gastronomic edition. Strip menus of foreign dishes until the population forgets they even existed. Fettuccine becomes flat noodles, sushi morphs into rolled fish snack, tiramisu is just a layered dessert, and so on. Just a fun exercise, let me know down below, guys, in the comments, how would you rename some of the dishes Russian style? But anyways, think I'm joking with all these absurd names? Rewind to 2022 when Starbucks fled Russia and the replacement chain Stars Coffee rebranded the latte as rough to sound a little bit more local. The new owners boasted of domesticizing coffee culture. Fast forward to now, the entire chains scrap foreign dish names to dodge the patriotism surcharge. Pizza becomes round pie, ramen becomes noodle broth, and so on. Winston Smith redacts Trotsky, and today's chef they have to redact wasabi. Why is this even happening? Because once you accept that a California roll made out of mayonnaise and pickles is still sushi, you are halfway to accepting any nonsense the screen shouts at you. Casualty numbers, inflation stats, referendum results, anything. Cognitive dissonance fatigue sets in. Reality becomes whatever the state serves. You chew and swallow and nod, unlocking that primal Pavlovian reward. Feeling safe because you conform. But why do Russians even stomach it? Once again, pun intended. Fear, sure. No one fancies a jail time for discrediting the army by complaining about cheese. But there's also fatalism, a centuries-old shrug taught by tsars and commissars alike. Ничего не поделаешь, nothing you can do, they say. When survival demands constant adaptation, war, sanctions, pandemic, propaganda, you suppress your outrage. So you pick your battles, whisper jokes at the kitchen table, and pay the pizza tax because resisting over mozzarella feels futile when your cousin just got drafted. Better to keep your head down, your jaw moving, and pray tomorrow's decree does not outlaw salt. Yet Orwell warns that totalitarianism thrives on precisely that silence. The party's power is absolute only when nobody imagines alternatives. A censored diet stuns not only just stomachs, but dreams. If you have never tasted real Parmesan, how will you know what you are missing? Deprivation becomes the new normal, and nostalgia for variety fades like a Polaroid left in the Siberian sun. Big Brother does not just watch you, he cooks for you, plates for you, and ensures that every bite tastes like submission. Let's peer down the road, say 5, 10, 15 years, if the pizza purge escalates unchecked. First, chefs close shop or flee abroad. Draining gastronomy of talent the way the brain drains is hollowing out tech and medicine. Every exit stamp is knowledge lost. A sommelier who could teach wine science, a sushi master who perfected knife skills years in Tokyo, and many other professionals in this industry. Who is going then to be in their place? Mediocre copycats mass-producing patriot-friendly sludge, choking creativity under a smog of conformity. The public palate dulls, youth swap global curiosity for regular comfort food, and then comes the dominoes. Bookstores quietly retire unfriendly cookbooks. Streaming platforms bury foreign food documentaries under piles of state-funded propaganda about heroic farmers in Altai. Travel agencies close as passports become privileges only given to political loyalists. Remember how Soviet citizens waited decades for a chance to see Paris. Replace Paris with Phuket or Palermo, same formula. The world shrinks to the size of your oblast. Economic blowback compounds cultural decay. Culinary tourism once lured millions of rubles into cities, but now foreigners skip Russia entirely, unwilling to navigate gastronomic minefields. Franchises withdraw, supply chains fray, small import businesses die. Local farmers suffer because restaurants that once served fusion now trim menus to borscht and kotlete. Consumers pay more for less, breeding resentment no propaganda can season away forever. And when frustration boils over, where will it went? Historically, Russians vented at ballot boxes only to find that choices were already pre-made and, well, their choice didn't mean anything. If that channel stays jammed, people might either explode in unpredictable fury or, more likely, implode into deeper apathy. Both paths scream instability. Apathy breeds demographic decline. Why start a family when prospects taste like rubber cheese? Fury invites crackdowns. Riot police storms cafés to arrest customers wearing fried cheese t-shirts. And we've been here before. In late Soviet years, shelves emptied, jokes darkened, cynicism metastasized. The system collapsed not only because of one protest, but because everyone silently withdrew faith. A nation starved of hope can topple overnight, but the landing is brutal. So what if Russians choose resistance instead? Picture chefs staging civil disobedience bake-offs, serving outlaw tiramisu in speakeasy cafés lit by smartphone flashlights. Diners Instagram illegally imported prosciutto, hashtags explode, and authorities scramble but cannot arrest half the city without crippling the service economy. The pizza tax gets shelved, and maybe, just maybe, that sparks a bigger realization. If you can't defend mozzarella, you can't defend ballots, newspapers, and courts. Small bites can nourish larger courage. But let's be cold-blooded for a moment. The likelier scenario, tragically, is continued drift to managed decay. If society keeps swallowing restrictions and absurdity, the state will push until meals on the plate are as grey as the news. Big Brother will boast of protecting cultural integrity while stealing pensions to fund endless war. And the rest of the world will observe, half shocked, half numb, as a country of 140 million people trades taste for obedience. That does not taste good, right? Well, there, guys, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you wish to support my work, the links down below, for example, PayPal donations. Thanks so much for watching. See you tomorrow.
We won't succumb to their tricks, the facade they try to sell. Their twisted words and feeble claims on us all they cannot quell. We see through their lies, their feeble attempts to sway. We do not believe in ridiculous Russian propaganda.